As I'm trying to spread this message about talking to strangers, the next person may change your life. I'm sitting here talking to a stranger. I get off the plane. Actually, as I'm getting off the plane, I tell the pilot about what I'm doing. I show him my map. He's like, wow, that's so cool. He's like, you want a picture of the cockpit? I was like, sure. He's like, you want a picture in the cockpit? I was like, want me to say no? So I sit in the cockpit. And I'm just like, how did this happen? I decided to introduce myself to the pilot. So I get off the plane, I head to the airport. The bus driver. He's like, hey man, where are you coming from? I said, Atlanta. He's like, oh, do you know anybody down there in the music industry? I said, no, not really. He said, I'm really into rapping and I'm trying to, build my connections. I said, okay. But in my head, I'm thinking, because I'm making a documentary throughout this whole trip. So in my head, I'm thinking, this is a very interesting stranger. I said, would you mind doing a freestyle for me on camera? He's like, oh, no problem. So we scheduled for that next morning for him to do a freestyle for me. And he did it. As we're in that interview, I get a call from Amtrak, and that's when I heard that the train's canceled. They said the only way for you to make it to the West Coast as planned is for you to take a train from Chicago to Sacramento. Chicago's 2 hours away from Milwaukee. I was like, okay. So I gotta get to Chicago. So I don't really have an option, so I said, you know what, I'll get there. So as I'm discussing this with the operator on the phone, the guy's overhearing this, and then I get off the phone, I was like, do you have any suggestions of how I can get to Chicago within the next 2 hours? He said, I'll take you. I said, what? He's like, I'll take you. He said, your story, your message is so inspiring that I will take you. So we gassed up, we drove 2 hours, I made it just in time as the train was pulling off. Hop on the train, and I sit on the train for 50 hours to Sacramento. Take a bus for 4 hours to some place in Barringer, California. Then I take another train for 2 hours to LA, spend 2 days in LA. And I just got off the flight from LA at 6:30 this morning. All these experiences of talking to strangers. I sat on the train, that 50-hour train ride. There was an elderly man sitting at breakfast. I sat down with him. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Just the usual. He asked me what I'm doing. I pull out my map. I'm traveling across America by bus, plane, and train, talking to strangers. That's quite intriguing, but why? Because the next stranger you meet can change your life. He's like, that's very true. So his wife comes and sits down. They tell me the story. They're actually coming from her mom's funeral. This is a 84-year-old man and about a 50-year-old woman coming from her mom's funeral. They said it's been a very somber trip. And I said, okay, sorry to hear. So he actually then goes and explains his stranger story. He said his best friend, now remember, he's 84. So this is back before, everything was right between blacks and whites. He said, my best friend was an African American. He said, I met him because I was in gym and the coach didn't know who to pair him up with. And I said, I would take him. He said, I have no problem. So from that point on, that became his best friend. And he said that I would have never had all the stories, adventures, and experiences if I just wouldn't have been open to this stranger who I didn't know and welcome him in as anybody else. Then she overhears the story. She's so inspired. She's like, how old are you? I said, I'm 24, but my birthday's next Monday. She's like, wow. She just asked me 1,000 questions. She's just so intrigued. She's like, you are a true blessing. She was like, this has been a very somber trip, and you are the highlight. Meeting you has made me grieving for my mother's loss a little bit better. Thank you. And I have one map with me. I keep telling you guys about this map I'm doing now. I have one map with me. She asked for the map, and this is my only map, so I'll tell her, can I please have my map back? And she looks at me, and she was like, no, I really want it. But at that moment, it's like I couldn't say no. I'm a complete stranger in her life, but within a 30-minute conversation, I brought joy, I brought peace, I brought happiness. I couldn't take that map away from her. So I told her my moment was for you. She was like, Robbie, anytime you are in Denver, you look me up, you have a place to stay. Then they told me that they were the first married State Farm agents in history. Go figure. Strangers, you never know. So this is what the whole movement is. What I'm here today is to encourage you guys to talk to strangers. Your parents were wrong. How many of you guys have had your parents say, do not talk to strangers? Now, how many of you today are not talking to strangers? You know, it's ingrained. It's already ingrained. You guys are programmed to see somebody you do not know and walk right past them. Not say hi, not care to get to know them. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every stranger is a good stranger, okay? If you see a guy on the side of the street talking to a wall, please. Leave him alone. But honestly, it's all about the next opportunity. You miss opportunities when you allow people to walk past you. You miss great stories. You miss teachings, lessons. So even in my experience here at THS, you know, they can say all the stats and the things that I've won, but honestly, I was just a people person. Like even today, when I walk into school, I see all these familiar faces. Students, I have classmates that are teaching you guys right now. That's amazing. I walk into the front office, I know all the front office. It's all about relationships. Like you guys are in a prime opportunity right now. This is what it's all about. You have to get out and talk to strangers. You have to build relationships. You have to talk. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't open your mouth. You're not going to learn anything if you don't ask. Talk to strangers. I cannot stress that enough. So what I would like to do is to have a talking to strangers scenario. So I would like to call a special person to the stage that has been pre-selected. Do we have Troy Cunha in the audience? So Troy and I are going to reenact, and we're going to display just a simple hello, an introduction. Okay? Now Troy, I do not know you, right? You've never? How you doing, Troy? My name's Robbie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So Troy, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 18 years old, and right now I have no idea what's going on.
Fair enough. What is something that you enjoy about Titusville High School? What is your experience like?
Well, probably my favorite thing is there's so much history here for my family, because all my older brothers went here. Yeah, figured you probably did. So it's just cool because I'm going through the same teachers as they did. It's pretty neat. How about you? What was your favorite thing?
He asked me a question back. I like that. My favorite thing at THS had to be the pep rallies. The pep rallies. I really enjoyed just the spirit. You know, whenever you guys have your Friday night football games or the basketball team, I really enjoy just kind of like that energy of screaming fans in the stands. So thank you for asking. What do you have a passion for, and what would you like to pursue as an occupation?
Well, with any luck, I'm going to be a jazz musician. Yeah, so if you've got those Atlanta connections, you know.
So what about, now I know that your family is involved. I know that you are part of Student Senate, is that correct? Or you have family, I think you have a brother who's in Student Senate. Okay, perfect. I can do that. Now I actually have, a little birdie told me that you were interested also in government, leadership, politics in a sense. Maybe, maybe not. Well, Troy, I had a birdie who told me, and this is the key takeaway from this, and this is exactly how it happens in real life. I had a birdie who told me that you did have a passion within just in general politics, especially with our local government, and I made a phone call. And I think that, you know, in the terms of, and this is also a good point, you did bring up a good point. Remember, I started off as a MIS major, then I went to be an assistant, then I went to be a convention sales manager, now I'm in Congress. The path will zigzag. Your interests will change, but your end goal will always be the same. So do not ever turn down an opportunity just because you think that it doesn't align with your overall path. Because when I took the job working for Alpha Phi Alpha, when I traveled to China and I met all these cool people, that had nothing to do with my career field. Remember, MIS, technology, computers. So never turn down an opportunity. So I want to give you an opportunity right now. I made a phone call and I have somebody who would like to invite you somewhere for your special interest. I'd like you to be a guest. So if you guys could join me in welcoming our mayor, Mayor Tully.
We've met before, right? Okay. Well, it's always an honor and a real privilege for me to speak before students. And Troy and I have met before because he was involved in the Mock City Council. Some of you may have seen it. And I like Troy because he has no fear. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and that's a good thing. So, and it was great to have, how many of you saw the Mock City Council? How many participated in it? They must be up in study hall, right? Or something. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit older than Robbie. In fact, I graduated from high school about 40 years before he did. Yeah, all the math majors are out there trying to figure out how old I am now. But I will tell you this, if you go back and look at city council meetings during the 1960s when the Apollo program was going, the mayors and the city councils in that time frame were in their 30s, early 40s. We even had one in his 20s in those days. Today's city council, how many of you have ever seen a city council meeting or even gone to one? A few, that's good. We have a city council now that every single one of us is over 50 and 3 of us are over 60. So what I'm telling you is we need your youth, we need your ideas, we need your energy, and most of all, we need your enthusiasm in this city. Because we are at a turning point in history and we need you to help us turn things around. So my challenge to you is get out there and get involved. Just like Troy has, and many of your classmates have, underclassmen have. How many of you know that the Student Advisory Council is hosting a leadership seminar on Friday, March 16th? Good, I hope a bunch of you signed up for it. And the theme of this leadership seminar is going to be how to use social media to help turn things around. And you guys are the experts, I'm not. So we need your help. So I'd like to invite Troy to come to a city council meeting tonight with Robbie, and he's already been to one or two, I think, but observe and maybe say a few words, and any of you who'd like to come along and sit and see what he has to say, you're always welcome. And if you're the kind of person that likes to sit back and say, boy, there's nothing to do in Titusville, then you've got the whole wrong approach. Remember, Mahatma Gandhi once said, you must become the change you wish to see in the world. So if you want to see things happen out in Titusville, I need your help. We all need your help. Get out there and make something happen. Do we have any skaters here? Skaters? I love skaters. Because if you go up to the skateboard park and you watch the skaters, what do all afternoon? Because they skate, they fall down and they get up. And then they skate, they fall down and they get up. And they skate, and they fall down and they get up. And I think there's a message there. You talk about persistence. And the reason we have a skateboard park in Titusville is because some local skaters came to a city council meeting and said, we need a skateboard park. And I asked them if they were willing to help, and they said yes. So you can make things happen if you choose to. So please choose to. Be one of those people out there trying to make things happen. Robbie, thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to seeing you at the city council meeting tonight. So I look forward to seeing you tonight too.
Okay, so basically that's how it all happens. You meet somebody, you never know who they know, what opportunity, what door they're going to open, what challenge they're going to put you through. But at the end of the day, it's all going to be rewarding. So I told you about a few of the things that I've done, but I don't think you guys are quite convinced yet of the power of this. So at the back of the flyer, visit my website, robbiesocialjr.com, and you'll see me with the president and CEO of Hyundai Motor Corp. Or you'll see me with, anybody that's seen The Cosby Show? Or anybody know who Claire Huxtable is? You'll see me with Felicia Rashad. You'll see me with Shrek. You will see me with, everybody has heard of Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King's second in command and good friends, Andy Young of Atlanta. I also have stories of those who have taken this journey with me, of talking to strangers. There's a testimony of a group of Pt2 students that came to DC during the Watch the Throne concert. And we didn't go to the concert, but we did one better. We met Jay-Z and Beyonce backstage. Or being in Chicago at a bookstore, seeing Shia LaBeouf. Being at the bookstore during the filming of Transformers 3 and actually being on set watching Michael Bay direct Transformers 3. Or even just last night, as I'm taking my red-eye flight to speak with you guys, and I'm on the same plane as Warren Sapp. You never know what is going to happen. Okay, so to wrap this all up, I do want to drive it home. These are the things that I want you guys to really, really focus on. At the back of the flyer, you guys will see 5 quick tips for talking to strangers. Make sure you focus on that. These are just some quick things, but also, this is all going to culminate into a book. I'm finishing up the book, and by, let's say, summertime at the latest, hopefully the book will be completed. And I would love to come back and share it. Do you guys want me back? Yeah! So with that, the last few things that I want to say is take risk. Take risk. Calculated risk. Get out of your comfort zone. When I left college, I had no idea that my life in 2 years, everything I've told you has happened in 2 years. I would never have guessed if I didn't just go with the flow. If I didn't just speak with somebody. And right now is the time for you guys to start developing habits. High school, for anybody who knew me in high school to who knows me now, they would say one thing. He's exactly the same. Exactly the same. So right now is the time to build habits. Don't wait till after you graduate. Don't wait till after college. Start now. Because right now is called practice. And then once you practice, what happens? You become perfect. So, I do thank you guys for your time, and I do thank you guys for your attention. My name is Robert Stokes. How much time do we have for questions? How much? Dr. Albright? Can't see. How much time do we have for questions? Well, we'll start taking them today. You tell me to stop. So does anybody have any questions? I can't see. Okay. Stand up. Go ahead. What do I mark myself as politically? Learning. Next question.